We're on the air at this hour covering that California shooting rampage.
The worst mass shooting since Newtown. It has stunned the country, our entire country, one more time.
As rescue teams rushed to save the wounded that day in San Bernardino,
we got a couple bleeding out. We need to get them out of here right now.
Officers also had to question them for any information about who was responsible. And right away, one employee provided a solid lead.
That one person, when he was being extracted out of the room, had given the officer a name. He said, "I think maybe you need to look at this person." And he gave us the name Saeed Farouk.
The employee said Farouk, who posed with fellow health department workers in front of a Christmas tree, abruptly left the meeting just before the shooting started.
It gave us a direction and it gave us somewhere to go with the investigation.
The name Farouk was fed back to San Bernardino Police Headquarters, and Donnie Ruth Svanken, the department's veteran computer analyst.
My first instinct was to look at our law enforcement databases and see if we could identify anybody that was known to law enforcement by that name. I didn't see anything initially.
911 emergency?
But then, moments later, a 911 call that would be the turning point.
Yes, I'm calling. I just been watching the TV, and there was a black SUV that turned in front of me onto 7th Street.
It was such a sudden, abrupt move that I was thinking, this is a little unusual for a vehicle coming from Utah.
61-year-old Stuart Bowden, a computer programmer for the county, wasn't even aware police were looking for a black SUV when a car of that make cut in front of him at this intersection.
I had noticed the license plate, and as they were waiting to turn here, because there was one vehicle coming, I go, I think I need to commit that license plate to memory.
Because
something wasn't quite right.
The suspects perhaps left the scene in a black SUV.
When I got home, I turned on the TV, something that said, the suspects fled in a black SUV. I saw something, I needed to say something.
About 25 minutes ago. And I didn't know anything about any SUV at that time.
And it was a black SUV?
Yeah, and I do have a good memory.
Okay.
Utah license plate.
Okay.
X523RY.
I have X523RY burned into my memory.
That was the turning point in the investigation.
the license plate number came back to the Enterprise Car Rental Company, and Svanken had a contact at corporate headquarters in St. Louis, who said that without the usual paperwork, he would find out who had rented the car.
Seriously cut through some red tape, because the normal process would have had me calling a corporate security phone number, running it through this person who would have had to get permission from this person.
The car had been rented by a Syed Farouk.
Actually, my hands started to shake at that point, and I thought, wow, we really don't have just a person of interest. We actually now have a suspect, and we need to locate this person.
That information really focused our efforts on Saeed Farouk.
As police and the FBI would later learn, Farouk and his wife, Tashfeen Malik, a Pakistani he married overseas and brought to the U.S., had been secretly planning the attack for a long time, never once coming to the attention of authorities.
They really led, from what I could tell, at least Saeed, a fairly normal life while he was here, and he was known to many of his co-workers, quiet, and had worked for the county of San Bernardino for 5 years.
We know that they shared similar radicalized beliefs. We know that Farouk had been radicalized for many, many years leading up to the event. He had just simply flown underneath the radar.
This surveillance video obtained by ABC News shows Farouk at a Riverside, California firing range just a few days before the attack, practicing with weapons which authorities say he had a friend buy for him.
And they certainly were equipped for it. They were armed for it. They had high-powered weaponry. They had lots of ammunition. They had bombs at their disposal.
And there is one clue as to what led to the attack that day. Farouk's wife had previously expressed her outrage that her husband had to be part of any non-Muslim celebration.
She had essentially made the statement in an online account that she didn't think that a Muslim should have to participate in a non-Muslim holiday or event. And you could clearly see from pictures inside that room that there was somewhat of a festive atmosphere. So it had those Christmas overtones to it. That really is one of the very, very few pieces of potential evidence that we have that we can truly point to and say that possibly is a motive in this case.
Inspired, the FBI agent in charge, David Bowditch, says, by ISIS.
After the shooting, you had Tashfeen Malik, who actually went on social media and declared her allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the self-proclaimed caliphate leader.
Ironically, agents also discovered the couple wasn't even sure of Baghdadi's name until a few minutes before they started shooting.
That particular morning, there was online research done with an account associated with them where they were researching the leader of the Islamic State. Maybe they didn't truly know who it was, so they had to have the name to actually pledge their allegiance, so to speak. I think it's kind of a laughable thing. You would think that somebody that truly wanted to do that, somebody that was truly committed, certainly wouldn't be researching on that particular day. Of course, there's nothing funny about this particular incident.
And now the hunt was on to find him and her. By pinging Farouk's cell phone, Donnie Ruth Svanken could tell he was just a few blocks away from that new address she had for Farouk.
If I thought my hands were shaking then, they were really seriously shaking, because I knew now that there was a good possibility that we were sending officers into a situation that was extremely scary.
An undercover police narcotics team was sent to Farouk's address down this street in the neighboring city of Redlands, as Svanken waited next to her police radio to hear what happened.
Thinking horrible things about people I cared deeply about, and was I going to see them again, and what, this person had already done such harm and damage to the citizens of the city, and to know that, yes, I found a legitimate address, a good address, but what was next? What was around the corner?
Should he have a suspicious vehicle that matches the suspect?